Hi, Aditi. Are we going to start soon?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Amin. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yeah. Should we wait for about 5 minutes? I think
Okay.
most of them still haven't completely joined yet.
Okay, no problem. We wait for another.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, Mr. Amin. Should we start now? It's already 3:00.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GhostMac conference session this afternoon. So before we get started, let me introduce myself as the MC for today. I am MJ from GhostMac. Our topic for today is career opportunities in information technology. As you may or may not know, after joining this conference session, you will learn and prepare for your future journey and your career, as well as learning the steps to secure a fulfilled life. I would like to first and foremost congratulate every one of you who have taken the wonderful initiative to learn a new skill, not only for yourself, but also for the good of your future journey. Before we kick off with a conversation with Mr. Amin, our speaker today, a few quick reminders so that we could learn and enjoy today's conference session without any interruption. Firstly, please remember to mute your mic so that your secrets are not being heard by all of us. Secondly, please show your love and encouragement to our speaker who have worked very hard to prepare this conference session, especially for you. After that, kindly check on your microphone and speaker setting in case if you can't hear our speaker voice. You can check on the audio or video button which is located at the left bottom side, or else you can, if you can't solve the problem, you can drop away a message in our chat box and our technical team will guide you. Next, we would like to invite all of you to join our Global Talent Network GTN Telegram group. As you can see, we have provided the QR code for you to join our Global Talent Network GTN Telegram group. The main objective of the GTN Telegram groups are to learn, interact, and participate in conference sessions and activities conducted by peer industry and leaders, and also get access to conference session link, mentoring, resources, and support, as well as the material of the presentation and the conference session recording link will be shared in the GTN Telegram group. Plus, you may get information for our upcoming event and conference section. So kindly join us on our GTN Telegram group for the updates. With that, let me introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Amin. Please give some online claps for our wonderful speaker. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Amin, you can take over from now. Do you able to share the screen?
I know. So I'm just gonna. I didn't prepare any slides. I'm just gonna talk through the items.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think there are a few things, right, they were going to cover in the agenda. One of it was around the first one I think was around how to prepare for a career in big data and analytics. So that was the first item, right? So I think the reason why we went kind of talk through we had this point. So we're going to talk about big data a bit. We're going to talk about what the requirements. I mean, what do you need to come up to go to get in a career for software engineering. And the third one was there's also there's also items or opportunities in cybersecurity, and then we'll cover IT infrastructure and DevOps. So when I first got contacted around what are the opportunities or what are there in IT, right? Usually people always think around building an app, building a system, and that's roughly about it. But in IT itself, right now, you can see there's a lot of specialization which is happening. So I'm speaking on a personal capacity right now. But in my line of work, so I've done EDI integration. I mean, it's very specialized, very niche in that area because they've got standards which only EDI. There's an EDI standard that you have to follow to integrate, and they've got even business standards on, say, if you need to send in from a cargo, then you need to, how do you define the cargos, the cargo type, the size and all that stuff. There is a format that you need to send so that it's interoperable across ports and across countries and countries. Then there are areas like IoT, the industrial 4.0 items as well. But we will talk about more general in terms of the 4 to 5 items where it will cover across all the different kind of niches as well. If you do IoT, you need to cover cybersecurity, you need to cover big data, you need to cover analytics and all that stuff. What and also it is quite interesting because it does not one of the areas which I've seen is that people who want to get into IT or into software engineering, they think that they have to have a degree in IT. But actually, I have met personally very strong developers, very strong engineers who had systems. I mean, who had a background of mechanical engineers. Recently, I worked with one person who is very strong in who came out with a degree in communications and media management, and he's a very strong kind of BA slash analyst in terms of designing systems and all. So the reason for this is to this session today is to say that you don't need to be, first of all, I mean, the first takeaway at the end of this session is that you don't need an IT degree or a computer science degree to go into a computer science kind of or an IT kind of sort of job. There's a lot of areas where you can still come in and do really well in IT. Okay, so we'll go into big data. So in big data, right, there are about three broad areas on big data. So first one is on data engineering. So what does data engineering do? Is essentially is that it's basically getting data sources, getting the information, ensuring that the data is actually clean, and then putting that data into storage. Whether it's going to be structured data, unstructured data, RDBMS, and all stuff, that one is determined by the data engineering team. So now the skill set of data engineering will be very strong software engineering practitioner who have worked on integration. So because the way to get this data could be through APIs, whether you're doing a SQL query on the database. I'm hoping that people, the participants are, if you have questions, ask. I might go into a bit too techy, but just ask the question, no problem. You can answer the chat. And some of the sources could be, okay, they're on the website, say weather information. Instead of calling an API, you've got access to the website. You can strip the data off and put into your database. There are other areas where the data itself is not in an electronic format, and you need to have a way to allow the users to enter it into an electronic format. So all those work is actually done by data engineering team. So people, if you see some of the job postings, right, you've seen backend developers, front-end developers, sometimes you have UI UX. If you are strong in backend, means not doing UI UX, not that creative side in that area, but you are creative in terms of doing all the backend stuff, making sure that, okay, when you pull this data, you're going to be able to do a rendering properly and all that stuff. Then that's where you would be very comfortable with. So that one is one. Then the second one is in terms of information modeling. So you've got all this data coming in. It can be massive. So especially, that's the whole term of big data. So you've got a lot of sources coming in. It will be big, and you need to make sense of all this information so that the next step of after you have this data is that you need to analyze. You need to need to do modeling. The guy who will make it happen, or to kind of jive from input to analytics or to machine learning, will be this data model, this data modeler. And you will say, okay, this for weather information, you could have 100 data points, but only 6 points are going to be stored because this is a summary of all the sub data points that was already put in. And that then could be, so instead of data, you need to store 100 gig of data, you're going to store maybe say 5 gig of data, which is going to be, one is save your storage cost. Second is going to speed up processing going forward. And then you can actually store longer as well. Then the third area is then, so then the person on data model will be someone who is more analytical. He may not be so technical in terms of writing Java code, Python code, and all that stuff, but has strong knowledge in terms of the information model. That person could be even someone, say, if it's doing, say, like we had the floods recently, and if you want to do a data model on how we're going to predict floods going forward, that person could be a climatologist, and they could be, and has some experience in data modeling, building databases and all that stuff. Designing databases, and that would be a role that that person can play very well into that. So there's not IT background, but actually a climatologist would do quite well. Then the third one is then you go into analytics. So analytics, roughly known as AI, AI and machine learning and all that stuff. Roughly, okay, let's put it into one. What you need to do is present. You have all this data, you've got the data model, but someone needs to make sense about this data. What are they going to do next around it? Right? So you need to have reports. You need to be able to kind of communicate what does this whole set of data do. And usually these are people that are called data scientists, data analysts. They essentially do that reporting. But before do the reporting, taking a step further, for AI and machine learning, you will need to develop. They do model development. So people who are strong in maths, in statistics, even say mechanical, electrical engineers who do advanced mathematics in university would be a good fit here as well. As long as interested in terms of doing modeling, in terms of analytics, and that would be a way forward. So you probably need to know a bit of Python, but at the end of the day, it's about theorizing a model, working out the different which algorithms to apply to it, maybe even develop your own algorithm, and then then testing out the algorithm, making sure that what the data comes in and what is to be achieved with the theory. The thesis of what the model should achieve needs to be tested and then present to management or present to the audience of the report. So those the areas here is, if you are strong in Python, maths will be good. If you are strong in statistics, there's a lot of statistics graduates. This will be one area that they will excel very well, because again, it's about data, about statistics, about finding all the anomalies and all that stuff. Okay, so those are the key areas, and where which kind of courses and all that you're in that can go in there. Then we go into the next one, which was software engineering. So software engineering, essentially, if you're inquisitive and you want to do IT and you want to build applications, to be honest, as long as you can demonstrate that you're doing, it doesn't matter which degree or which diploma you have. As long as you are able to, in your free time, build applications and all stuff, able to present it, and probably even running some of this open source, running as a service in, say, using these free versions of AWS and Azure, you can show that it's working, right? So example, like COVID reports, they're running on their own, they build their own based on the data of COVID, which is shared in GitHub, right? So you do your stuff on your own. You could be majoring in, say even being a doctor, but your interest is actually doing software, and you want to change. That's the passion. Then that will be the way to go. So as long as you're inquisitive, learning programming languages, straightforward. I think that one's given. If you got strong knowledge in Java, Node.js, Python, and all that stuff, that would really help, and that will allow you to build those kind of apps. It could be the web app or a mobile app, and even nowadays you don't have to do native apps. So you don't really need to do Objective-C or Android programming. You can do using this cross-functional or hybrid apps, which then wraps around the website into an app, and people can use. So as long as you are interested, I think almost there's no limit who can come into that thing. You just need to be able to show that it is possible and what you have done. I think that would be. in terms of my experience as well, so I learned programming on my own after university. Before university after Form 5, and I've been using that same set of kind of that learnings from there and then building on to that. So I learned some stuff in university, yes, but the one which I've learned on my own after leaving Form 5, that has helped me quite a lot in my career. The other one is around designing solutions. So as you build software, you know roughly, say if I want to build an application to show an application to say even to a simple to-do list. So your to-do list would be able to show your list of items of what you're going to do. You want to probably put due dates to it, and then you probably when the due date is due, then you want to have an alarm, a notification to say, okay, you are supposed to get this done in 2 hours time. So just having a simple app like that, you will have different subsystems of the app, and the ability for you to think around building that subsystem is needed. The subsystems that are needed to build the app would be quite useful. But this will come as part of, as you build applications, you would kind of think around, okay, how do you do this, and learnings from your past experiences. So that would be good. Reading books around software design would be good. So this is mainly software design, and then you got, as you go into the work life, or in work, you'll probably do more of than system design. So you have maybe 2 or 3 systems that you need to integrate together. So example, like you need to do say you're going to say example settle app, right? You need to book which place you want to which pump you want to use. You need to make sure that you paid the amount. So there are different systems that needs to be integrated. So then, if you can think about your software, how you want to build your own software, then you can extend that kind of same thinking into the system. I'm trying to simplify the whole thing, but you get the gist. You get the gist. Right? It's not too different. You will need some experiences around integrating, but as you go through the through projects, you will be able to understand this better. Then the next one is that as you design, so usually you will design, you have the view in your mind, but you need a way to communicate so that everyone understands and people can buy in. So ability to influence and negotiate that this is your design that makes sense, and it's probably future proof, and this is why you should do it, because there's 101 ways to do some stuff. But if you are designing something, you want to own it. There are reasons why you do it. But just having your reasons, but you're not able to say why you decided to do it a certain way, is going to be it's going to be challenging. Sometimes people wouldn't understand that. So ability for you to write it down in a document or a PowerPoint, and then saying why these design decisions were there is quite important. And then I guess you would need to also be open on having the critique coming in and say, no, maybe this way is better, because there are going to be people who have experience in doing certain areas as well. For example, like instead of charging, say credit card payments, do we send the charge request first, or do we save the card and then do it something else? Yeah, sorry, I'm maybe giving a bit more very complicated example, but there are many ways to do some simple stuff as well. But yeah, having that ability to communicate and how you communicate as well. So example, if you have UML, so example in software engineering, if you have knowledge around UML, use those kind of standard notation so that it's easy to communicate. Most people will understand UML in the field, and if they don't, at least you are using something standard, and they say, okay, this is why, and then you can talk through it. The other one is also so then you have ERDs as well, your data model, which says, okay, how are you going to store, how the relations of each entity is going to be. So those are important. Sometimes, even though they are kind of basic, but sometimes you see that these items, some people would need some help around it. So have that kind of understanding, and understanding or the ability for you to use standard notations to communicate your ideas. The next one, right, is in terms of software engineering. So software engineering, okay, building solutions. But one of the underrated but actually very, very important role in software development or systems development is the BA role. So the BA role is quite unique. It also can be quite challenging as well, where you are getting the requirements from business, and then you need to translate that into technical requirement. Straightforward, very easy. You get business requirement, change it to technical, and that's done. But actually, to do the translation is quite challenging, because business will have a view of, okay, I want to do something. I would like to do something. I want to sell this particular service. People can click one button and then I can buy now, and then we fulfill. But just to get that now, just to understand why, they need to understand why, okay, buy now is so important. You click buy now, then how do we make sure that if the person is not authenticated, how would we handle that? If the buy now button you click, you go to, how do you show the customer? Because the customer will need to select, okay, I'm going to pay using internet banking or say a credit card. So example, we take the Shopee, right? Shopee is a buy now button. It's a very simple concept, but implementing that, there could be so many different sort of pathways you can take. You get the happy scenario, which is buy now. I got my Shopee Pay wallet, and then it gets charged. But if the guy doesn't have Shopee Pay or not enough balance, how are you going to do that? So just making sure that the requester or the business user who's asking for this functionality has thought through all those scenarios, so that it can design a complete solution. That at times that is a skill itself, that can be quite useful. So so this one would be, if you have I wouldn't go into courses, but if you have enough if you have strong logical thinking, analytical thinking, as you think through the scenarios, sometimes you would need a bit of industry experience around the area. So example, like Shopee is okay, right? Everyone, we all, I think most of us have been using kind of apps like Shopee and but then you come into certain areas, like say the property sector, who's at that time when they start, is going to be something quite unique, right? You're doing you need to go and select what happens if the farm does, or if the person could put without in the, though
Mr. Amin? Yeah. Hi, Mr. Amin. I think your line is not stable. Yeah, because we can't hear you now.
sorry, I think I got disconnected.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I ended at the one where around the BA and the business analyst part. So under the core requirements for software engineering. So we go to the next one, which is on cybersecurity. So cybersecurity again is a very wide area. One of it. So everyone, when people think about cybersecurity, it's about hacking, white hat hackers and all that stuff. Right? We're doing penetration testing, but that's not all of it. And to be honest, one of the big part around cybersecurity is having policies in place of how organization will handle security threats. What's the risk profile of a particular application? So, example, if it's a public-facing application, it's accessible through the internet. What are the mitigation points to reduce the risk to be implemented? So, example, do you need to put a web application firewall? Do you need to include DDoS protection? How do you handle passwords? How do you handle when someone leaves the organization? And so once you define this policy, the next one which then becomes quite a challenge as well is how do you govern? How do you make sure that the policies are followed? How frequently do you do this review so that that from a cybersecurity
Mr. Amit?
but business cannot run. So there is going to be a trade-off between what is going to be accessible and how much protection do you put in place so that the risk of having a cybersecurity incident, someone hacking in, stealing data is reduced or is manageable. So you've got these areas around policies and governance, which is where it is very big. There are quite a few notifications that's there. So again, analytical science around, or even accounts and stuff, right? As if you go into security, then do that certification of CISA, CISSP. All those are kind of industry standard certification, and that gets your foot into cybersecurity. If you want to do penetration testing or stuff, you can. There are tools around it, and that tools help. Or if you want to go into a cybersecurity company who does kind of just white hat hacking, that's there as well. Usually, white hat hackers, they are actually very, very good developers, because the main way to identify vulnerabilities and exploit it is by knowing how to find the vulnerability, and knowing it is actually then looking at code, understanding, okay, no, this actually, they didn't handle this particular exception behavior well. So you've got if you are strong in programming and you want to do cybersecurity, then penetration will be penetration testing, ethical hacking will be an area. But if you want to do cybersecurity, but there's also the governance part, which is very important. And then the other area on cybersecurity as well is operations. So understanding the amount of, because what happens is that a lot of this cybersecurity kind of monitoring is now automated. So you have probes in your desktops, probes on the server, at the network layer, and understanding, correlating all this information coming in is important. And identifying, okay, there is this incident, what do you do next around the incident, and solving the incident, making sure, okay, until that the whole threat has been mitigated. There are also areas where you monitor bug databases and security alerts, and you need to then coordinate across the whole organization of it. So, example, like recently, there is a logging component which has a security vulnerability, and a lot of the applications are actually using around the world. And so organizations around the world are actually coordinating in their teams. I would think, right, that they need to patch that logging components, open source component, but impacts, which a lot of people use. Okay, so that is security. The last part is under infrastructure and DevOps. So I would like to separate out the two parts. One is infrastructure. So infrastructure, I'm assuming most of you guys have heard around cloud. Some of you are probably doing it. So cloud is huge. A lot of organizations are using it, but on-premise infrastructure, essentially the stuff in physical data center, that is still there. Not that many, but it is still there. So the ability to kind of rack stack, the network wiring and stuff, yes, it's important. It's still there as well. You can also run your own private cloud if you want, say using OpenStack with a bunch of servers in your data center. That's there. If you want to, if you have the knowledge around how to manage AWS, Azure, GCP, the big three, that will be really good, because most organizations are using one of that. If you can use one, usually it's roughly about the same across the others. There are nuances around it, but it's not something that if you have a good strong base in, say, AWS, then you can do Azure as well. A bit of learning, but it's not that hard. At least you've got a strong base. A lot of it will require you to do scripting. So most of the services actually almost all of services would be able to be spin up without clicking. You can write a script to go and spin up a VM, set which OS is there, what's the memory you want to use and all stuff. You can also configure your network through scripting itself without clicking anything on the console. So having a strong script is quite important. And it ties then to DevOps. So DevOps, right? So you had operations, which is the traditional operations, not very smart. Say something goes down, if it doesn't, if a system goes down, then what do? You start up the server, restart the server, and you try to understand, find out the root cause of why that thing went down. It could be a hardware failure, it could be an exception, which exception thing which wasn't handled properly. So and then you get to talk to the development team and then do a fix. But DevOps Google has a term called site reliability engineering. They coined that term earlier. The DevOps guy then actually what they do is that when there's an issue like this, instead of talking to the development team, sending a lot of logs and all stuff, they are the one who have the code and also are trying to analyze why that issue happened and then doing their own fix as well. I mean, if it's a simple fix, they will do. If it's a thing which requires functional change and all stuff, then probably go back to the development team. So that's one. The second one is that when development teams deliver solutions into production, usually they focus around a lot of functionality. They they may not think about operational efficiency. So example, like there could be some of the manual work which is done to say, I need to restart, and to restart I need to run a command. Why not automate the restart? If the service is down, detect the service going down, restart the service straight away. So your downtime is almost non-existent. So those kind of stuff is done by the DevOps team, so that operationally is like almost a zero-touch operations. When something happens wrong, non-critical, they have a way to handle it and automate the whole thing. So it becomes so it becomes a zero-touch thing, and operations are quite free. So their work actually then is not more reactive; it's more proactively understanding, looking at the system, making sure that before something happens, they already are handling it. And in terms of monitoring, instead of going to the servers, they probably have an app and see at one point of time, in one glance, what's the status of the whole landscape that they're managing. So it's quite interesting, DevOps and SRE. Usually DevOps and SRE people have a strong background in programming, building applications, and have done quite a bit of work around support. Or people who are doing support, but they're also doing a bit of doing development as well. It's a merge of two. So SRE, basically, you can do development, you can do operations. They've been experienced doing kind of running system 24/7 or kind of troubleshooting production environments. Right? So they know in and out of the system that they're running. So that's the kind of high level kind of run through around all the 4 to 5 areas in IT. Is this generic? Should be usually applicable to most organizations already. So for this, right, I'm thinking, MJ, maybe we can open up for Q&A if you have questions.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Amin, for such a wonderful and significant sharing. Let's have another round of applause for the sharing given by Mr. Amin. Okay, so now I'm sure some of you have questions for our speaker, but I would like to ask you to keep those questions for a moment and kindly use your phone to scan the QR code. Yeah, as shown as on your screen right now. To fill in just a quick survey form and leave us the feedback based on the today conference session. So we could make better improvement in the future. Your feedback really matters to us, so we hope that you don't mind giving us your cooperation to fill up this survey form, as it should only take you about 1 minute. After that, you'll be eligible to receive an e-certificate from us. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, without further ado, now let us move on to the Q&A session. So if you have any question, you can use the feature of raising your hand, and I will giving you the permission to unmute yourself and ask directly to Mr. Admin. Or else you can right away drop your message to our chat box. So anyone, if you have any question, yeah. So Zainab, sure. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, Mr. Amin. First, I would like to say thank you for the amazing session. And actually, I do have a few questions. I'm a computer science fresh graduate. I have just graduated this semester this year. And I have interest in doing IT consultancy or project management. I would like to know what are the main requirements, as how do I develop myself from a fresh graduate in networking, mobile computing and networking, to IT consultancy or project manager. I know that it takes a lot of work, but I just want to know your point of view regarding this. Thank you.
Again, so congrats on the on graduating. Sorry, I didn't cover PMO well just now, but actually you brought up a good point. PM is quite an important part of the delivery in IT. So to your point, right? So PM, now we've got the traditional way of doing project management, waterfall, SDL, the full SDLC. And we've got more and more organizations are trying out Agile, so Scrum-based project delivery. And even in operations, they are using Kanban boards to deliver changes and fixes into production. So for you to skill up quite quickly on this would be, I would suggest personally, right, go for certification around Agile project management. There are quite a few sites. So Scrum Institute. I can't remember on top of my head, but there's even PMP. PMP would need work experience, but they have resource on how to run Agile projects, which you can leverage on. I guess the one challenge would be to go in for project management at the start without work experience. Could be a bit challenging. So you might want to go for a system analyst type of role to manage delivery, and then you use Agile to deliver, and then that's a nice career progression to go into PM. And then you can use Agile delivery in there. But if you want to go directly, you can try have the Agile for the Agile certification learning around this, how to run Agile projects. That would be important. There are resources that you can read on stories on how to handle different situations in Agile. So, example, like in Agile, you need to have a product owner. You need to have your Scrum Master, and then you have your teams. And the teams are actually very non-traditional already, because they are there just to get stuff done. There's no concept of architect and developer and all stuff. But there'll be a hybrid thing that you can still do. But I mean, just going through that whole Agile resources that will help you to answer if these kind of questions come up during interviews, and actually use it when practically in a particular job. The other one would be having the tools for project management. So, example, MS Project, very useful. An MS Project can be very powerful as well. So the ability to tie tasks together, then putting your this task needs to be done 3 days after the second task. Having that kind of capability, and you can show that would be good. So at least one of the entry point from a PM perspective could be the project coordinator. And project coordinator normally will do quite a lot of this project, MS project, getting the plans all up and running. So hopefully I answered the
Yeah,
question.
thank you, Mr. Aman. If you don't mind, I have one more question.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have one more question, actually, I'm offered a PhD study program, which is a direct progression from my bachelor to the PhD, and I'm a bit unsure because I have heard some speakers or talks that mentions 10 years from now we will not need lectures or academicians or any teachers as much we need it now, because in 10 years from now we will change all of that to online platforms, so everything would be taught online and AI and all of that. So I want to know your perspective on this matter. Is it a good future plan if I do the PhD study, or should I focus on getting certificates, as you have mentioned, like the Agile certificate or any other that interests me on the technical world?
Yeah. So this one, I think my direction and so as advice will be you do what interests you. So if you're going for PhD, there are two areas, or I think roughly two areas, right, around why you're going for PhD. One would be to be a lecturer and then to teach people. But the second one would be to focus around research. And building kind of and working with industry to come up with solutions. If one of those areas are items that you want, that's your passion, then go for it. Because to be honest, yes, online learning will be there. So Coursera and Udemy and all that, though they have this capability, so that today we can do data science with say even MIT, and you can get a certificate from there itself through Coursera. You don't even need to go there. But the person teaching it is still a lecturer who still has gone through the whole PhD stage as well. The good thing is that it's democratizing the access of quality courses around the world. So you don't have to go to the US. You can do it from Malaysia itself. You can do it from, say, Indonesia, no problem. And you don't have to pay, say, hundreds of thousands just to go to the area. So the options are there. If lecturers, I think, will not be. It's not going to be. Teachers will not be out of. It will not go out of style in 10 years, I think. Yeah. So it's still needed. It's just that you have a wider audience to target, to work with.
So it depends on passion, I guess.
Yeah,
passion.
I think passion is very important. So you've got a skill set that's given, and your passion is to teach, is to see people grow. I think you should do that, because you don't want to come to work and do something which is not very doesn't get you excited to wake up in the morning.
All right, thank you, Mr. Amin. That's a good advice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, how about others? Do you have any question? Do you want? Yeah, if not, then we will proceed. Yeah, hopefully today all of you learned something from our conference section shared by Mr. Amin. Yeah, now we know this could be hard for someone, but we would like to invite all of you to switch on your camera for a few minutes so that we could have a good photo session together. Yeah, I know some people might be shy, but don't worry, it's not the end of the world.
But by the way, sorry, if anyone wants to try to work in Maxis, you can go to Maxis live at Maxis Instagram account. There are quite a lot of openings that you can try to apply.
May I get the account?
Yeah, let me just put in the chat. Yes.
Yeah, now I will take a photo.
Wait a moment. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, on, you can proceed.
And now I will take a photo. 3, 2, 1.
Is it done on?
Yeah, done.
Oh, Okay. Thank you for your cooperation. Now all of you may turn off your camera. Before we end this call, we very appreciate your participation with us this afternoon. We hope you have enjoyed our conference session as much as we enjoy hosting this conference session for you. And don't forget to join us on our Global Talent Network GTN Telegram group with a QR code or link provided by our team. And also for those who haven't filled up the form yet, please kindly use the QR code to scan it, and then you will be rewarded with an e-certificate after submitting it. Yeah, thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Amin. Yeah.